The asteroid field stretched like a wounded canvas across the infinite darkness of space. Immense rocky fragments tumbled in silent ballet, their surfaces scarred by countless millennia of cosmic collisions. Among these ancient sentinels, the medical research vessel Hippocrates moved with calculated precision, its hull designed to blend with the surrounding stone and radiation shadows. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood at the central command platform, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that projected intricate molecular structures. The ship's interior hummed with a subtle energy, not the aggressive pulse of a warship, but the quiet intensity of scientific exploration. Specialized researchers from 17 different human research institutes were packed into the vessel's compact but efficiently designed interior. Dr. Marcus Chen, the lead xenobiological researcher, adjusted a complex molecular imaging system. Holographic projections of alien cellular structures flickered around him, revealing the devastating pandemic that had already consumed 3 galactic civilizations. Each projection represented potential extinction, genetic structures so complex and aggressive that they had overwhelmed even the most advanced medical technologies known to spacefaring species. "We're detecting unusual quantum fluctuations in Sector 7, announced Lydia Kovacs, the ship's sensor specialist. Her voice was calm, but a slight tension underscored her words. Humans who worked in deep space frontier research developed a particular kind of composure, part scientific detachment, part survival instinct. The Hippocrates was no ordinary medical vessel. Developed through a collaborative project between the Interstellar Medical Research Consortium and Advanced Xenobiological Defense Initiative, it represented the cutting edge of human scientific innovation. Its systems were designed to adapt, to analyze, and potentially neutralize threats that conventional medical technologies couldn't even comprehend. Elena studied the molecular projections, her mind racing through potential scenarios. The pandemic they were tracking wasn't just a medical challenge. It was an existential threat to intelligent life across multiple star systems. Initial research suggested the pathogen could adapt faster than any known medical intervention, shifting its genetic structure with terrifying speed. A soft chime interrupted her concentration. The quantum sensors were picking up something unusual. A massive energy signature that didn't match any known configuration in their extensive databases. Most research vessels would have registered alarm, but the Hippocrates was built for unexpected encounters. "Prepare secondary analysis protocols," Elena commanded. Her team moved with synchronized precision, each researcher accessing specialized systems that could rapidly process and respond to emerging data. The ship itself seemed to breathe with anticipation, its adaptive systems already beginning preliminary threat assessments. Dr. Chen's holographic display suddenly erupted with new data streams. "Captain, these quantum signatures, they're not natural. We're looking at a deliberate energy manipulation that doesn't conform to standard spacefaring technologies." His voice carried a mix of scientific excitement and underlying caution. The asteroid field around them seemed to grow still, as if holding its collective breath. Space had its own kind of silence, not the absence of sound, but a profound stillness that spoke of immense, waiting potential. Lydia's voice cut through the tension. "Incoming quantum signature, massive energy configuration detected. It's not matching any known galactic species database." Her fingers flew across her interface, running simultaneous verification protocols. They all knew what that meant. An unknown vessel, with technology beyond current classification systems, was approaching. In the frontier regions of explored space, such an encounter could mean anything from first contact to potential conflict. Elena's mind raced through contingency protocols. The Hippocrates wasn't just carrying research, it was carrying hope. Potential solutions to a pandemic that could wipe out entire civilizations were stored in its biocomputational systems. Losing this vessel would mean losing humanity's most advanced medical research. "Adaptive shield systems to standby," she said quietly. The command was soft, but it carried the weight of years of training and preparation. Around her, the research team continued their work, their movements deliberate and controlled. They were scientists first, but they were also prepared for anything. The quantum signature grew stronger. Something was coming. And the Hippocrates waited, a silent sentinel loaded with humanity's most advanced medical technologies, ready to face whatever emerged from the cosmic darkness. The Zarnax warship materialized with brutal suddenness, its massive hull blocking out entire sections of the asteroid field. Massive energy collectors pulsed along its exterior, casting an ominous green metallic sheen against the darkness of space. Compared to the sleek, purposeful design of the Hippocrates, the alien vessel looked like a predatory weapon, all sharp angles and aggressive configurations. Captain Elena Rodriguez studied the incoming transmission, her fingers hovering just above the communication interface. The Zarnax communication burst carried a distinctive linguistic pattern, hierarchical, aggressive, designed to intimidate. Most species would have immediately gone to defensive protocols. Humans, however, had learned something more nuanced in their decades of interstellar exploration. Unidentified human vessel. The translation matrix rendered the alien communication with clinical precision. You have violated restricted research space. Prepare for immediate boarding and comprehensive inspection. Dr. Marcus Chen caught Elena's eye. A subtle communication passed between them. Years of working together had created a language more complex than words. The research they carried was far too critical to be interrupted by an aggressive alien military force. Lydia Kovacs ran rapid verifications through the ship's communication systems. Their translation matrices are deliberately constructed to create psychological pressure, she muttered. Classic intimidation protocol used by expansionist civilizations. Elena activated the communication interface. Her voice was calm, measured. The voice of someone who understood that true power wasn't about volume, but precision. Zarnax vessel. This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the interstellar medical research vessel Hippocrates. We are conducting critical pandemic research with direct authorization from the Galactic Medical Cooperative. Our mission involves potential solutions for the X7 genetic pathogen, currently threatening 17 established civilizations. The communication interface displayed complex linguistic analysis as she spoke. Every word was chosen with scientific accuracy, every phrase designed to convey maximum information with minimum emotional escalation. Silence stretched for several moments. The Zarnax vessel remained motionless, its massive energy collectors continuing to pulse with contained potential. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. Dr. Chen brought up a holographic display of their current research. Molecular structures danced in three-dimensional complexity. Intricate representations of the pandemic that threatened multiple galactic civilizations. Each projection represented years of research, countless hours of analysis, potential salvation for millions of sentient beings. They're scanning us, Lydia announced. Her fingers danced across specialized sensor interfaces. But their scanning frequencies are unusual. They're not just looking for standard technological markers. The Zarnax communication burst to life again. Human vessel, you will transmit complete research logs for preliminary inspection. Failure to comply will result in immediate interdiction. Elena's response was immediate. The compressed data package began transmission. But it wasn't what the Zarnax expected. Instead of raw research data, they received a precisely curated scientific presentation. Complex molecular models, statistical projections, and potential intervention strategies scrolled through their communication systems. Each projection told a story, not just of a pandemic, but of humanity's unique approach to scientific challenges. Where other civilizations might see a threat, humans saw a complex problem waiting for innovative solutions. Dr. Chen leaned close to Elena. They won't understand most of this, he whispered, but they'll recognize the depth of our research. The Zarnax communication system remained silent. The massive warship hung in space, surrounded by tumbling asteroids, processing the unexpected response. Lydia's sensor systems began registering unusual quantum fluctuations. They're confused, she said, a hint of professional amusement in her voice. Our response doesn't match any of their expected interaction protocols. Humanity had always been an outlier in galactic interactions, not through military might, but through an unpredictable combination of scientific curiosity, technological innovation, and a fundamental belief that complex problems could be solved through understanding. The Hippocrates continued its silent drift through the asteroid field, a medical research vessel that looked, to the untrained eye, like nothing more than a scientific instrument. But those who knew humans understood it was so much more. The Zarnax would soon learn that lesson. The silence between the Hippocrates and the Zarnax warship stretched like a taut neural strand. Microscopic systems within the human vessel began to shift, a subtle transformation invisible to conventional sensors, but profound in its complexity. Dr. Yuki Nakamura, the ship's lead nanoengineering specialist, watched her holographic interfaces with laser-focused intensity. Each of the specialized medical nanite clusters contained more computational power than entire research stations from just 2 decades ago. They weren't just microscopic machines. They were adaptive intelligences designed to solve biological challenges at the molecular level. Quantum reconfiguration sequence initiating, she murmured, her fingers dancing across interfaces that seemed to breathe with living energy. The ship's systems were more than mechanical. They were an extension of human scientific creativity, a living network of adaptive intelligence. Lydia Kovacs monitored the external sensor arrays. The Zarnax vessel is preparing active scanning protocols, she announced. Her voice carried a clinical precision that masked an underlying tension. They're attempting a comprehensive electronic intrusion. Captain Alina Rodriguez stood perfectly still, her posture relaxed, but her eyes sharp. Years of frontier research had taught her that the most powerful responses were rarely the most obvious. The Hippocrates wasn't just a vessel. It was a complex scientific instrument designed to adapt, analyze, and respond. The first wave of Zarnax electronic intrusion met an unexpected barrier. What appeared to be standard medical scanning arrays began to reconfigure. Electromagnetic frequencies shifted with mathematical precision, creating a defensive network that was simultaneously a diagnostic tool and a protective barrier. Dr. Marcus Chen brought up a holographic representation of the nanite network. To an untrained eye, it would look like a complex, almost organic structure, tendrils of computational potential that could reshape themselves instantaneously. "Look at the adaptive response matrix," he said quietly to Yuki. "It's treating the electronic intrusion like a biological challenge." And in many ways it was. The ship's defensive systems weren't designed as traditional weapons. They were problem-solving mechanisms created by scientists who understood that the most effective solutions often emerged from understanding, not confrontation. Each nanite carried complex algorithms that could analyze, adapt, and respond to threats in milliseconds. Specialized quantum processors began to unravel the Zarnax scanning protocols, not to block them, but to understand them. To map their technological approaches with the same precision a medical researcher might map a complex genetic sequence. "Fascinating," Dr. Nakamura whispered. Her holographic displays showed the nanite network expanding, not as an aggressive response, but as a complex diagnostic procedure. The ship was analyzing the Zarnax technological systems the way a doctor might examine an unknown medical condition. The Zarnax warship systems began to experience unexpected modifications. Computational pathways that had been rigid for generations suddenly found themselves being subtly restructured. It wasn't an attack. It was an intervention. Alina understood the profound implications. Humanity's greatest strength had never been military might, but the ability to understand, adapt, and transform. The Hippocrates embodied that principle at its most fundamental level. Lydia's sensor systems began registering anomalies. "The Zarnax vessel's systems are changing," she said, a note of professional wonderment in her voice. "Not failing. Adapting." The nanite network continued its silent work. Each microscopic machine carried more computational potential than entire research stations from previous generations. They moved with a collective intelligence that defied traditional understanding of technology. Dr. Chen brought up comparative displays. The Zarnak's electronic systems, previously rigid and hierarchical, were experiencing a kind of technological acupuncture. Critical inefficiencies were being identified and subtly corrected. Computational pathways that had been locked for generations were being gently realigned. "It's like watching a living system heal itself," Yuki murmured. The Hippocrates drifted silently through the asteroid field. To an outside observer, it would look like nothing more than a medical research vessel, but those who understood would recognize something profound was happening. This was more than a defensive response. This was a fundamental reimagining of technological interaction. And the Zarnaks were about to learn exactly what that meant. The bridge of the Zarnak's warship fell into an eerie silence. Captain Vornak felt something unprecedented happening to the vessel's systems, a transformation that defied every protocol of technological engagement he had ever known. Initial scans suggested an intrusion, but this was no traditional attack. The microscopic machines spreading through their systems moved with a purpose that transcended simple mechanical intervention. They analyzed, mapped, and began to repair systems the Zarnaks had long considered immutable. Deep within the ship's central medical bay, a senior Zarnak's medical officer named Krell watched in growing astonishment. Holographic displays flickered with data streams that challenged everything he understood about technological interaction. The nanites weren't just moving through their systems, they were conducting a comprehensive medical assessment. "Impossible," Krell muttered, his multiple sensory appendages trembling with a mix of fear and scientific fascination. The nanite network began its most profound work. Centuries of genetic limitations that the Zarnaks had accepted as fundamental to their species began to unravel. Microscopic machines identified genetic markers of chronic conditions that had plagued their civilization for generations. Systemic weaknesses in cellular regeneration, neural pathway degradation, and immune system limitations. On the Hippocrates, Dr. Yuki Nakamura monitored the intervention with scientific precision. "They have no idea what's happening," she said quietly to Dr. Marcus Chen. "Our nanites are treating their entire ship like a single, complex biological system." Captain Elena Rodriguez watched the holographic displays, understanding the profound diplomatic implications of what was unfolding. This was more than a technological intervention. It was a fundamental reimagining of first contact. The Zarnak's communication systems began to register the changes first. Neural networks that had been rigid for centuries suddenly found themselves experiencing unprecedented flexibility. Computational pathways that had been limited by genetic constraints began to expand, creating new possibilities of thought and interaction. Vornak felt it most acutely. Something was changing within his own biological systems. Neural connections that had been dormant suddenly sparked with new potential. Genetic limitations that he had accepted as fundamental to his species began to shift. "Report," he demanded of his medical officer. But the words came out differently than he expected, clearer, more precise, with a depth of understanding he had never experienced. Krell's medical scans revealed the impossible. The nanites were conducting a comprehensive genetic intervention. They weren't just repairing, they were optimizing. Cellular structures that had been compromised by generations of genetic limitations were being carefully restructured. "It's a medical process," Krell said, his voice trembling. "But it's also something more." The human medical research vessel had transformed the encounter into something beyond traditional concepts of first contact. Where other civilizations might have seen a potential threat, the humans had seen an opportunity for understanding and healing. Dr. Chen brought up comparative displays on the Hippocrates. "Look at the systemic changes," he said to Yuki. "It's like we're providing a comprehensive medical upgrade to an entire species." Elena understood the diplomatic complexity of their actions. This was more than a scientific intervention. It was a profound statement about humanity's approach to interstellar interactions. Where military powers might see conquest, humans saw potential for mutual understanding. The nanite network continued its silent work. Each microscopic machine carried complex algorithms that understood healing as a holistic concept, not just the repair of immediate damage, but the optimization of entire biological systems. Vornak found himself experiencing emotions he had never known possible. Genetic limitations that had restricted his species' potential were being carefully, methodically addressed. It wasn't an invasion. It was a gift. "What are they doing to us?" he whispered. "On the Hippocrates." Dr. Nakamura smiled. "Exactly what we always do," she said quietly. "We're solving a problem." The asteroid field continued its silent dance around them. The medical research vessel drifted peacefully, its true capabilities hidden beneath a deceptively simple exterior. The Zarnax warship hung motionless, experiencing a transformation beyond its wildest comprehension. And humanity had just rewritten the rules of first contact. The Galactic Conclave communication hub erupted into chaos. Holographic displays from hundreds of different species flickered with unprecedented data streams, each revealing fragments of the extraordinary encounter between the human medical vessel and the Zarnax warship. Ambassador Lyra Solarin, humanity's primary representative to the Galactic Conclave, stood before a massive holographic display that captured every nuanced detail of the incident. Her presentation wasn't a defense. It was a clinical, precise breakdown of scientific intervention that defied traditional diplomatic protocols. "The medical research vessel Hippocrates did not attack," she stated, her voice cutting through the mounting tension. "It conducted a comprehensive medical intervention that has fundamentally altered the biological potential of an entire species." The representatives from various galactic civilizations responded with a mixture of shock, disbelief, and growing fascination. The Chlorian delegation, known for their hyper-analytical approach, displayed complex mathematical projections that confirmed the unprecedented nature of the intervention. Dr. Marcus Chen transmitted the detailed medical analysis from the Hippocrates. Each data packet revealed layers of complexity that challenged fundamental understanding of medical technology. The nanite intervention wasn't just a temporary fix. It was a comprehensive genetic optimization that addressed systemic limitations within the Zarnax biological structure. Captain Alina Rodriguez sat in a secondary communication chamber, monitoring the unfolding diplomatic scenario. She understood the profound implications of their actions. This was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar interaction. The Zarnax diplomatic delegation found themselves in an unprecedented position. Their once rigid biological and technological systems had been fundamentally transformed. Genetic limitations that had defined their civilization for millennia had been carefully, methodically addressed by an unexpected intervention. Vornak, the captain of the warship that had initially threatened the Hippocrates, now stood as a living testament to the intervention. His neural pathways had expanded, his genetic potential had been optimized, and his understanding of technological and biological interaction had been completely revolutionized. "We approached with aggression," Vornak testified before the Galactic Conclave. "We were met with healing." Dr. Yuki Nakamura presented the technical specifications of the nanite network. Each microscopic machine was a marvel of engineering, capable of complex medical interventions that went far beyond traditional technological understanding. They weren't just machines. They were adaptive intelligences designed to solve biological challenges at the most fundamental level. The medical logs told a story more complex than any traditional diplomatic report. Where other civilizations saw potential conflict, the humans had seen an opportunity for understanding and improvement. The intervention wasn't just medical. It was a profound statement about humanity's approach to interstellar relations. Ambassador Solarin's presentation highlighted the key findings. The nanite intervention had addressed chronic genetic limitations within the Zarnax species, optimized neural pathway potential, improved cellular regeneration capabilities, neutralized long-term genetic health risks. The Chlorian analysts began producing complex probability matrices. The potential long-term benefits of such an intervention were staggering. A species that had been technologically and biologically limited could now explore new potential of evolution and development. This is not an act of war, Ambassador Solarin emphasized. This is an act of scientific compassion. The diplomatic chamber fell silent. Representatives from species across the galaxy understood they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humanity had just demonstrated an approach to first contact that defied every previous diplomatic protocol. Dr. Chen studied the ongoing data streams. "We didn't just change a ship," he whispered to Yuki Nakamura. "We potentially changed an entire trajectory of evolutionary potential." The Hippocrates continued its silent drift through space. To an outside observer, it would look like nothing more than a medical research vessel. But those who understood would recognize it as something far more profound, a symbol of humanity's unique approach to exploration and understanding. The Galactic Conclave would debate the implications for generations. But one thing was certain: nothing would be the same after this moment. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of first contact. The research facility orbiting Proxima Centauri became a pilgrimage site for scientific minds from across known space. Scientists, technological experts, and diplomatic representatives gathered to examine the recovered data from the Hippocrates, each hoping to unravel the mysteries of the unprecedented medical intervention. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, her fingers tracing the complex architectural design of the ship's nano-computational systems. What appeared to be a simple medical research vessel was, in fact, a technological ecosystem more complex than most civilizations could comprehend. "The ship is alive," Dr. Yuki Nakamura explained to a group of bewildered alien researchers, not in the biological sense, but in its ability to adapt, learn, and respond. The core technological marvel of the Hippocrates lay in its quantum neural network. Unlike traditional computational systems that processed information linearly, this network operated more like a living organism. Each nanite was not just a machine, but an intelligent agent capable of independent decision-making and complex problem-solving. Dr. Marcus Chen brought up a detailed schematic of the ship's adaptive medical systems. Holographic projections showed how the nanite network could instantaneously reconfigure itself. What looked like a simple medical scanning array could transform into a defensive mechanism, a healing tool, or a complex diagnostic system within milliseconds. The Chlorian research delegation was particularly fascinated. Their lead scientist, Dr. Xeltok, studied the data with multiple sensory appendages trembling with excitement. "This is not technology," he proclaimed. "This is a new form of intelligent design." Each system within the Hippocrates challenged conventional understanding of technological potential. The ship's computational core was a quantum biological hybrid that defied traditional classification. It could analyze complex genetic structures, develop medical interventions, and adapt to completely unknown biological challenges faster than any existing technological system. The medical research logs revealed the true depth of the ship's capabilities. During the encounter with the Zarnax vessel, the nanite network had not just conducted a simple repair. It had performed a comprehensive genetic analysis, identified systemic limitations, and developed targeted interventions that addressed fundamental biological constraints. "Look at the intervention protocols," Dr. Chen pointed out to a group of researchers. "The system doesn't just repair, it optimizes. It sees biological challenges as complex problems to be solved, not just limitations to be managed." Dr. Nakamura demonstrated how the nanite network could simultaneously operate on multiple levels. A single nanite could analyze a genetic sequence, develop a targeted medical intervention, and coordinate with millions of other nanites to implement that intervention across an entire biological system. The ship's adaptive capabilities went far beyond medical technology. Its quantum neural network could instantaneously analyze unknown biological and technological systems, develop targeted interventions in milliseconds, reconfigure its entire operational matrix based on emerging challenges, communicate and coordinate at quantum computational speeds. Ambassador Lyra Solarin understood the profound diplomatic implications. This was more than a technological breakthrough. It was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence could interact with complex systems. Humanity has always understood that the most powerful solutions come from understanding, she told the assembled researchers, not from conflict, but from the ability to adapt and heal. The recovered data from the Hippocrates represented a technological leap that would take most civilizations decades to comprehend. It wasn't just a ship. It was a living testament to human scientific creativity. Dr. Rodriguez reflected on the journey that had led to this moment. Years of research, countless failed experiments, the collective work of thousands of scientists who believed that technology could be a tool of healing rather than destruction. The holographic displays continued to dance with complex data streams. Each projection told a story of unprecedented scientific achievement. The Hippocrates had done more than survive an encounter with an alien warship. It had demonstrated a fundamentally different approach to technological potential. As the researchers continued their analysis, one thing became clear. Humanity had just revealed a technological paradigm that would reshape understanding across the galaxy. The ship drifted in its specialized containment field, looking deceptively simple, but those who understood knew it was anything but ordinary. A marvel of scientific imagination, a beacon of human potential. The Galactic Medical Cooperative convened an emergency session that would be remembered for generations. Representatives from 214 different civilizations gathered in a massive orbital conference complex, their holographic projections creating a kaleidoscope of biological diversity that reflected the complexity of interstellar life. Ambassador Lyra Solarin stood at the center of the massive circular chamber, her presentation displaying the comprehensive data from the Hippocrates medical intervention. The holographic displays showed the intricate process of how a single human medical research vessel had transformed the biological potential of an entire alien species. "This is not just a technological breakthrough," she explained, her voice cutting through the multilingual translations. "This is a fundamental reimagining of medical intervention and interspecies cooperation." The Chlorian delegation, known for their hyper-analytical approach, had spent weeks processing the data. Their lead researcher, Dr. Xeltok, presented a series of mathematical projections that confirmed the unprecedented nature of the intervention. The nanite network had not just repaired, it had optimized entire biological systems in ways that challenged fundamental understanding of medical science. Vornak, the Zarnak's captain who had been the primary subject of the intervention, stood as living testimony. His transformed biological systems demonstrated capabilities that his species had never imagined possible. Neural pathways that had been limited for generations now sparked with unprecedented potential. The medical logs told a story more complex than any diplomatic report. The human nanite intervention had identified and neutralized chronic genetic limitations, enhanced neural computational capabilities, improved cellular regeneration processes, addressed systemic health challenges that had plagued the Zarnak civilization for millennia. Dr. Marcus Chen transmitted additional research data from the Hippocrates. Each data packet revealed layers of complexity that expanded the understanding of medical technology across known space. The intervention wasn't a simple repair, it was a comprehensive redesign of biological potential. The Quantum Biological Research Consortium, from the Rigel system, presented their initial analysis. The implications were staggering. The human approach to medical technology represented a paradigm shift that could revolutionize medical treatment across multiple civilizations. "They didn't just heal," said Dr. Emira Solov, the consortium's lead researcher. "They reimagined what healing could mean." Political representatives from various galactic regions struggled to comprehend the full implications. This was more than a medical breakthrough. It was a fundamental challenge to existing concepts of first contact, technological interaction, and interspecies cooperation. The Zarnak's delegation, once known for their aggressive expansionist policies, now found themselves in an unprecedented position. The medical intervention had not just changed their biological systems, it had transformed their entire philosophical approach to interstellar interaction. Dr. Yuki Nakamura presented the technical specifications of the nanite network. Each microscopic machine was a marvel of engineering, an intelligent agent capable of complex problem-solving at the molecular level. They weren't just tools. They were adaptive intelligences designed to understand and optimize biological systems. Ambassador Solarin understood the profound diplomatic implications. "This is not an act of conquest," she emphasized. "This is an act of scientific compassion." The conference chamber fell into a profound silence. Representatives from species across the galaxy understood they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humanity had demonstrated an approach to interstellar interaction that defied every previous diplomatic protocol. The Galactic Medical Cooperative would spend years analyzing the intervention. Preliminary reports suggested the potential for similar treatments could address chronic medical challenges for hundreds of species. Genetic limitations that had been considered fundamental could now be seen as challenges to be solved. Dr. Chen reflected on the journey that had led to this moment. Years of research, countless failed experiments, the collective work of thousands of scientists who believed that technology could be a tool of healing rather than destruction. As the conference continued, one thing became increasingly clear: nothing would be the same after this moment. Humanity had just demonstrated an approach to scientific exploration that went far beyond traditional understanding. The holographic displays continued to dance with complex data streams. Each projection told a story of unprecedented scientific achievement. A new era of interstellar interaction had begun. The research vessel Hippocrates sat in its specialized containment facility, looking deceptively simple. Most observers would see nothing more than an advanced medical research craft. But those who understood its true nature knew it represented something far more profound. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood before a gathering of the most influential scientific minds in human space. The massive holographic display behind her showed the complete journey of their extraordinary mission, from a routine medical research expedition to a moment that would redefine interstellar interaction. "We didn't set out to change the galaxy," she explained, her voice calm and measured. "We simply approached our work the way we always have, with curiosity, compassion, and a fundamental belief that every challenge is an opportunity to understand." Dr. Marcus Chen presented the comprehensive analysis of their encounter with the Zarnax. Each data projection told a story of unexpected transformation. Where traditional approaches might have seen conflict, the Hippocrates had seen a complex biological puzzle waiting to be solved. The gathered researchers represented the best of human scientific exploration. They were not conquerors or warriors, but problem solvers. Each had dedicated their lives to understanding the most complex challenges facing interstellar civilizations. Dr. Yuki Nakamura brought up the detailed schematics of the nanite network. It was more than a technological system. It was a living, adaptive intelligence that represented the pinnacle of human scientific creativity. Each microscopic machine carried the potential to analyze, understand, and transform complex biological challenges. Ambassador Lyra Solarin understood the deeper implications. The Hippocrates had done more than conduct a medical intervention. It had demonstrated a fundamentally different approach to interstellar interaction, one based on healing rather than conflict, on understanding rather than dominance. The recovered data logs revealed a journey of unprecedented scientific achievement, a comprehensive genetic optimization of an entire alien species, a diplomatic intervention conducted through medical technology, a demonstration of adaptive intelligence that challenged fundamental understanding of technological potential, a healing approach that transformed potential conflict into an opportunity for mutual understanding. Vornak, the Zarnax captain who had been the primary subject of the intervention, now stood as a living testament to human scientific potential. His transformed biological systems demonstrated capabilities that his species had never imagined possible. Neural pathways that had been limited for generations now sparked with unprecedented potential. "We approached with aggression," Vornak testified to the assembled researchers. "We were met with healing." The Galactic Medical Cooperative had spent months analyzing the intervention. Preliminary reports suggested the potential for similar treatments could address chronic medical challenges for hundreds of species. Genetic limitations that had been considered fundamental could now be seen as challenges to be solved. Dr. Chen reflected on the journey that had led to this moment. Years of research, countless failed experiments, the collective work of thousands of scientists who believed that technology could be a tool of healing rather than destruction. Captain Rodriguez understood the true significance of their mission. It wasn't about technological superiority or military might. It was about a fundamental belief in the power of understanding, of seeing challenges as opportunities for growth and healing. The holographic displays continued to dance with complex data streams. Each projection told a story of unprecedented scientific achievement. The Hippocrates had done more than survive an encounter with an alien civilization. It had demonstrated a fundamentally different approach to exploration and interaction. "We are not defined by our ability to destroy," Elena said quietly, her words resonating through the chamber. "We are defined by our ability to understand, to heal, to see potential where others see limitations." As the conference concluded, one thing became increasingly clear. Humanity had just revealed a new paradigm of interstellar interaction. Not through force or conflict, but through compassion, scientific creativity, and an unwavering belief in the potential for understanding. The research vessel drifted in its containment field, looking deceptively simple, but those who understood knew it was anything but ordinary. A marvel of scientific imagination, a beacon of human potential, a promise of what could be.